Hello and welcome to the Billowing Hilltop podcast. Another longer episode for you today, readers, so I won't hold things up. But ratings and reviews, always welcome. You can find us on social media. We spend more time on Blue Sky, I think, now than we do on Twix. We'll be at Dragonmeet on the 30th of November, the Novotel Hammersmith. That's it. Let's push on with episode 220 of the Billowing Hilltop podcast. Art for art's sake. Good evening, everybody. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
I am here with Dr. Eusebio Spider Lucas, Master of Spider Science.
Hello.
Easing himself into yes, I love it. Easing himself into his specially adapted high chair. We have the corpulent form of Johnny. We have I haven't got a hot Viking joke.
Have you not?
Sorry.
We can pass on one
It's
for 1 week.
disappointing.
Olaf Hopperson, hot Viking Graham, and shaved right down to the skin like one of those weird cats on Instagram. We have the ex-leonine form of Dan, Socialist Aslan. What we don't have Paul, who we left unplugged overnight.
Schoolboy hour.
As a result, got no Scaly. We've got no Scaly.
The world's worst paladin.
He's somewhere else. The world's worst paladin. Well, we'll just have to kind of cover the Scaly. Can anybody remember what we did last time? Because we did a load.
Yeah, we basically were at, I want to say Hestes, but I don't mean that. I mean Marcus's place. And then we teleported to somewhere to go and investigate the thing.
We're at the
There
Rift
we go.
Valley, aren't we?
There we have it.
It's
The
very
very
specific.
Like Tolkien.
I actually wrote Lord of the Rings for Tolkien.
Did you?
Yeah, in that style. And he
Yeah.
was like,
And
I'm
he
not
just-
so sure.
He knocked the edges
Yeah,
off.
exactly. He just basically took the plot that I came up with and polished the language.
Puffed away on his pipe.
Yeah.
Sitting in his
Yeah, exactly.
digs in Thingy College, Oxford.
That's
Went
Thingy
straight
College,
with the
Oxford.
word.
Yeah.
Thingy College, Oxford. Yeah, St. Thingy,
Yeah.
actually.
St. Thingy College, Oxford.
And he said, this is wonderful work.
Yeah.
All I need is a few more details.
I don't think he
Maybe.
even asked for more details. He was just
He
like,
just-
no, I think it's great as it is, Dan. But I think some of the language doesn't really fit with my style. If you don't mind, I'm just going to add a few words here and there.
Yeah, just a couple of
Yeah.
words in
I mean, when I
Sindari,
wrote it was only 10 pages long.
and I had another 1,300 pages.
Yeah.
And in the end, he's like, Dan, I mean, it's
He
done.
knocked you off the credits. He'd like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
Simon
really
did you.
quite cross about that, actually.
Your 10 pages didn't make it in. So, yeah, that's basically what we did anyway. Yeah, you saw Marcus. Various people have told
Some
you need to
Fisher,
go somewhere
was
called the
Jeremy Fisher
yeah,
or something.
the worm.
That's right.
Yeah, the Wormcrawl Fissure.
That's right.
And
Off we go.
the Wormcrawl Fissure is where, in theory, you're going to find Dragotha, whose phylactery you have just destroyed.
Yes, that's right.
You also learnt that potentially you might find Kios trapped in a monolith. The monolith that was taken from the Spire of Long Shadows 1,500 years or so ago. Or is it longer? I can't remember. Longer. 2,000. Anyway, whenever. Marcus has sent you through one of his picture windows as far as he can send you, because he can't send you into the Wormcrawl Fissure.
That's right.
Because
Of the clouds.
it's masked from his view, and you don't know enough about it to teleport to any specific location. And also, there have been some disquieting hints or indications that there is some kind of capacity to interrupt teleport spells and divert people to other places.
That's right.
Uncle Buggy was the victim of that.
and we destroyed the phylactery, didn't we, in the end, after
You did
some
destroy
discussion?
the phylactery. You smashed it to bits.
So Dragotha
Oh.
might be more powerful, but if he dies forever, yeah.
Dan, I have some good news for you.
Do you?
Yes, it's about Time Stop, Dan.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I read it again.
Yeah.
And it's not as bad as we thought when we read it before.
That's all right. I've kept it.
It says the spell ends if you do something that affects another person, right?
Right.
It doesn't say you can't do something that affects another person. So you are allowed to stab somebody through the eye. It just needs to be the last thing you do.
Yeah.
So actually, it is a freaking amazing spell.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Still.
And I can still buff.
Of course. But once you're done, you can, I don't know, put an iron bar through somebody's eye socket, right?
Yeah.
And the moment that you do that, the spell ends. But I presume the act of doing that, as long as you choose the right activity, you should succeed on that, and then the spell ends. So
Well, just like bashing someone prone.
Yeah,
It's coup de grace, isn't it? Basically, you get a coup de grace.
Yes, you need to do something, the single act of which will end the spell, but also get what you want. So you can't kind of start messing about. You can't steal everybody's magic, right?
Oh.
Which is what Johnny would do if he had the spell.
Like I say,
Not
magic is
necessarily.
less interesting.
Yeah, with the attunement.
Yeah, because of the
attunement,
attunement.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've only got another 2 books to go. We can play Pathfinder and have as much magic as we want.
Stock up.
Within reason. Another thing that's a shame about Paul not being here is I like to annoy him with the annoyingly named beers that I drink. And tonight's beer is called 5 Quotes About Infinity.
That's quite annoying.
Yeah, it's quite an annoying name for a beer.
It is.
It's very good, though.
Is it?
Yeah, it's delicious.
And what are the 5 quotes?
I don't know. They're not on the can. Maybe you drink enough of them and they occur to you.
Pretentious. What?
So, I have put you on a map that's got basically nothing on it. You can see the outline of what you presume to be the Wormcrawl Fissure, which is the western extremity of the canyon that Kongan Thulnir sits in. It's this giant, great rift canyon that runs in a great big wound across the Red Hand Wastelands, north of Frostanger. It splits into 3 spurs. Come on, you spurs. At the western end.
What happened this weekend? I can't remember. Were there any
football?
Was there any football this weekend, Brian? Was there anything? Did
There
Arsenal
was
play this
football.
weekend?
I wasn't paying attention, fortunately, so I missed the.
Sorry, I have to take advantage.
Marginal
It doesn't happen
decision.
very often.
Well, for once, I did actually look at it.
Yeah.
So at the western extremity, you've got 3 spurs. You're not quite sure what they do. And about midway across this giant expanse, again, all masked from you by this cloud layer, there is a spire of rock. It's about, I'm having a look on the giant scale of this stupidly giant scale map. It's about 4 or 5 miles away. So, I mean, I don't know how
That's
much
4 or
detail
5
you can
miles,
make out.
is it? Okay.
According to this, each square is half a mile.
Bloody hell.
Whatever.
Okay.
You said it splits into 3 at the west end. Looking at the map, it looks
Well, it's
more
a bit-
like it splits into sort of more like 5.
Yes, I agree with you. It's fragmented and not
Yeah.
clear. There is a definite clear northern spur,
Yes. And
central spur,
and then
and then perhaps you would call the southern spur a bit more of a sort of jagged area.
yes,
Would that be fair?
fair enough.
Yeah.
Either way, I presume unless you are peregrine falcons or something, you can only barely make it out. It's about 10 miles away.
Yes,
But hey,
true.
we're just
Yes.
going to assume.
Can I ask? It's possibly not relevant, but relative to Diamond Lake, where are we?
I'd need to look at the map.
Are we in the lands that
Let's look at
wait
the-
here, or
Was it northwest of Frostanger or something?
Let me give you, I can show you the largest worldview map that we've got, if I can find
Can I,
everything.
Just interject. As I went up a level in Barbarian, I got this
Yes.
completely useless thing called Aspect of the Beast Eagle. You
Yeah.
can see up to a mile away with no difficulty. Can I see anything? Nothing in more detail? It's a completely useless skill.
I think you
but-
can see detail up to a mile away, which is fine, and I'll give you some detail. Let's just quickly look at the main map.
Yep.
You've got the Newell Mountains running from south to north on the eastern extremity of our map.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The left-hand extremity of our map is very heavily forested.
Yeah.
The lands that wait are just hinted at on the eastern extremity of our map, with Evenstar overlooking them at the barrier cliffs at the edge of effectively at the edge of the world, as you understand it. The northern section of the map is dominated by the Lake of the Cold Sky, which has got Truespire Island and Marksh's Lake Bed Lair and all of that stuff. And Frostanger is in the northeastern corner of the Lake of the Cold Sky. The great wound in the world is, I would say, 100 miles, maybe not quite that much, north of the northern shore of the Lake of the Cold Sky.
Right.
So that
cold.
forested, cold. So that forested region, Arctic forest, that
Yeah.
runs across the northern shores of the Lake of the Cold Sky, that just extends into the Great Red Hand Wilderness. And the dominant feature of that wilderness is this great canyon that runs east-west. Now, from Monster P. McWheat and other things that you have learned, you have surmised that the lands that wait that lead off into territories unknown of the western side of your map, somehow to their north, they must link up through some canyon or chasm that was followed by Monster P. McWheat that took him to the western extremity of this canyon.
Right.
So it's all taking
I
place
see
off
now,
the north and western edge of your map.
Right.
Does that give you some context?
Yes.
Certainly does.
If I
yes.
finished the map, it
does.
would give you even more context, but I haven't. So.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to the other map. And so we want to head to the west of this place, right?
Well,
Yes,
we don't-
your
To pick up Monster P. McWheat's trail.
Monster P. McWheat must have entered at the western end of what you're looking at.
Yeah.
His journey is effectively for you is useful when narrated backwards. Where you're standing, you are looking at the point at which the slope of the canyon floor descends and meets this cloud base. You can hear flapping things flapping about in the clouds. The occasional coarse cry or caw from some sort of awful avian, like Dagobah system, those sort of leathery, flappy wing creatures that are suggested at. It's that kind of idea. You can also see, I'm not quite sure how, but hey, we're just going to assume that you can, that there is activity on that spire a couple of miles ahead of you, well, more than a couple of miles ahead of you, that juts out from the cloud base. You can see tiny specks, flying creatures that must roost on that tower. There's a malign energy, you think a necrotic energy, that seems to be associated with all of this territory off to your west and the cloud base itself and everything. It just feels like you're standing on the border of a deeply unhallowed, corrupted area of the world.
Sorry, one last question for reference. Mm-hmm. In relation to where we are now, where is Kongun Thulnir?
It is to your east.
Yes.
If you turned round and started heading east,
then we get back to Kongun Thulnir.
Well, Monster P. McWheat said it was several days' journey after they exited the clouds before they came upon Kongun Thulnir.
So
I might not have got that
tens of
exactly
miles
right.
then, basically.
Yeah. One other thing. Scaly, Burple, and Buggy all failed a saving throw in Marcus's lair when they reflected upon what they'd seen in the vision that you all shared when your teleport spell was hijacked. If you recall, it was a scarred and pitted canyon, and then a vision of an individual in a very short dressing gown who turned out not to be Hesty, but turned out to be Rabadabadas.
Of the Rubber Dubber Dub?
Oh, you know him?
No.
No.
And his skin suddenly all peeled away and he was eaten by worms or whatever. Well, if you recall, those of you that failed that saving throw were left with a sense of something well, you did go up a level, but so did the people that passed.
Causation versus correlation.
You got this sort of weird compulsion, a sense of a task that was left undone.
That's right.
And a place that you had to go. I think we described it in terms of close encounters and making mountains out of
it's a geese.
mashed potato.
It's a geese.
Now that you are out of the bubble of Marcus's lair, makes much more sense. You know that if you were to walk west, you haven't got like a direction finder, but what you have got is a sense of where you must go next in order to get there.
Okay.
West, past the spire, that's really all you've got.
Right, off we go then.
How are you going?
Who can
we
fly?
have to fly.
Well, no, we go down below the clouds, or we fly, or we teleport.
Is there an obvious way down, like paths or...
You're on the canyon floor. It's rock with scattered boulders and scrubby, fragile, dry-looking plants clinging onto existence. And I'm going to say that you can pick out a well-walked area of ground that you could follow that seems to head in the right direction, and that is where the compulsion is telling those members of the party we're just going to call the failures that they should be heading. Well, it's just easy. It's much easier than calling them out individually each time.
Yeah, it's a good name. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
I like it.
This is below the mist line, is it, you're describing?
Well, the trail that you feel leads to where you want to be, you'd head down this slope and eventually you would hit this cloud layer. Yeah.
So we haven't gone down into the cloud yet?
Not yet. No, I'm placed you just outside.
Okay, well, let's wander down.
Yeah.
We're going to wander?
Yeah, why not? I'm going to look at some spell stuff first. Okay, so Graham, you can fly and you can carry one person, right?
Yes.
I can fly, but I'm not sure I can carry... I think I probably can carry someone, actually. It's about strength, isn't it?
I have wings of flying, but they require a short rest to attune to them.
Yeah, but
and
still...
then take them off again.
Well, it's not like you're in a hurry.
I'm just thinking that in the canyon...
I suppose
the failures may say otherwise. They may be like, well, we've got to get moving.
It's going to be wormy nastiness in the canyon is what I'm thinking, and flying over it is going to be safer.
Apart from the things flying in the air to dissuade you from doing that, but
Yes. Yes, but then there's invisibility, So let's wander. Save the spells.
yeah.
You're going to walk?
Yep, I'm going to walk.
Old
I
school.
need the exercise.
Someone on social media said Sessions' legs are probably atrophied, so he'll continue to sit on his broom.
True.
It's like the
He's
Mekon.
unable to. Yeah, he's like the Mekon.
He's like Davos from Doctor
He's
Who.
got a big head, skinny legs.
Is it Davos? I thought Davos was the conference. Davros.
Davros.
Is it Davros?
Basically, there's Davos, Davros, and Stavros. And you just mustn't
Easily
mix them up.
Mixed up, yeah.
Okay.
Very similar. Right.
Standard trekking speed. How many miles a day is that? Anyway, let's not overthink it. You start heading your way west. There are two jagged outcrops of rock that almost form a little gateway. And after you've walked for about half a mile, you start to enter the liminal zone. It's a little bit like a very low ground clinging mist, and then it's around your waist, and then it's over your head. A bit like descending in an aircraft.
Yeah.
You're fully in the cloud layer, and you walk within the cloud layer for about half an hour. There is a sort of odd haze captured glow. I think it's daytime. I haven't checked our calendar. Is it Thump Day, the something, the what's it? Anyway,
Yeah,
I'll
how's
look
the
that up.
orrery looking at the moment? Have a look at it before
It's
we...
looking fine. You know what? I probably need to open my notes. As a result of opening
When's
my
the
notes,
next?
everyone, I can tell you that it is in fact Sunday, the 26th of Fart, which is the equivalent of our Friday. I'm not sure what time, but let's say it's kind of morning. The next conjunction indicated by the orrery is next weekday, which is the equivalent of next Wednesday, the 3rd of Apeshit.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So in 5 days.
It goes Moon Day, Tonge,
Yeah.
Weekday, Thump Day, Sunday, Asmodee, Ort. So if it's Sunday today, you've got 5 days from now.
Good job we looked at it then.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think the last time you checked it, it was the same. It was the same info. That was when you were dealing with Dal Quethos. Fuck it. And the Hand of Vecna. All that time ago. Right. Yes, you're
we
in
never
this
did get
liminal-
around to fixing the missing arm, did we?
You didn't. You went to see Arthur Number Plate at
that's right.
Because then we got
what's it called?
spirited
Thingy's
off.
Wonders. Yeah. And he said that he thought that it could be fixed if you could find the right components, if I recall correctly. He said he thought there might be another arm, another planet missing from your orrery. That was rather left hanging.
Yes.
Anyway, light is captured by these clouds. So you walk through a kind of hazy, glowing landscape after you've been walking for a mile or so. Figures start to emerge in the haze, but they're static, and it becomes clear as you get closer to them that they are skeletons staked out on poles like gibbets or crucifixes that are wreathed in stylized, crude worms made of paper and leather. They're at relatively regular intervals, dotted on either side of the path as you walk.
Designed to ward people off.
Possibly. Monster P. McWheat referred to these figures. He explained that they encountered them as they were reaching the upper slopes of the Wormcrawl Fissure before they emerged from the cloud base. So that chimes with what you know, or what you've forgotten already. And after you've been walking for a couple of hours, maybe not quite that much, hour and a half, I'm going to just open things up a little bit
Oh, right.
in terms of what you can see.
And what kind of gradient are we walking down
Well, it's
here?
pretty steep.
But it's not cliff.
No, it's steep enough that you need to keep an eye on where you plant your
Right.
feet as you walk,
Okay.
but not so steep that you're clambering or scrambling. From ahead of you and to your north, at some distance, you start to pick up a low rumbling. Somebody give me a perception check or just a straight intelligence check.
Perception
Perception.
for purple.
23.
Getting a
15, 23
Wow.
sessions.
Purple
Yeah.
gets 26.
Well, Burple, you think it's the rumbling of a very powerful waterfall or river that you're picking up through your feet.
Oh, a red one.
Well, you don't know about that. You can't hear what colour it is.
Can I? I think you're
But-
very strict on some of these.
I know.
You don't hear in Technicolor.
It's off into the unseen areas through the clouds. I mean, you can't see very far around yourselves. I'm revealing chunks of space on this huge scale map. But don't be deceived by that, chaps, because you can't see much around you. I'm just showing you the areas that you've traversed,
Yes.
but not what you can see.
Okay.
Are you carrying on with your wander to the west?
Yes.
Yes.
You can hear the cawing of crows around you. Every now and again, at some unguessable distance, you hear kind of heavier beating wings. To your west, you can hear the occasional kind of rumble you think of thunder. Maybe this cloud base has got its own little weather systems in it.
Mm-hmm.
As you continue, you encounter a river, and purple, it is in fact red.
Yeah.
You stand at the banks of it. You can only see X number of yards, but assuming that you kind of fan out and you spend a bit of time reconnoitering your environment, you can understand that there must be some lake at the base of the northern cliffs of this canyon. It's a deep red, and it must be being filled by waterfalls coming out of the rock face to your north. Something soars its way, huge, great, thunderous wing beats above you. It doesn't come close enough for you to see it, and you can only hope it's not come close enough for it to see you, but something very large has just flown above you. You think as high as the cliffs that you can't see the tops of. Maybe something that was perched on the cliff edge. You think it might have been a dragon.
Yeah.
As you approach the shores of this lake, you are reaching the point where you are emerging from the cloud base and can see a little more. With that in mind, I'm going to reveal a bit more map. I'm going to say that you can see far enough to pick out the base of the spire that I mentioned before, and the whole of the expanse of that lake as you approach its shores. The water of this lake is very uncomfortably red. It is just like the water that you saw in the Tomb of Akosiel.
Yeah. Okay.
The failures feel drawn to cross the river and follow a path that might run to the south of this spire and head into the northern spur at the end of the canyon. Now you're getting a definite sense that that's the path you wish to follow. It's about 200 feet wide, the river. Doesn't look like it's an easy river to cross. You think you could wade it, but it's quite a forceful current. But you could always fly over it. The spire that you can see on the far side of the lake, the base of it fragments out into boulders, and the spire itself is clearly the roost for some vultures probably, and some other large creatures that maybe they're multi-headed. They seem to have leathery wings. Occasionally one will drop from a roost point or cavern and might snap up a vulture or something before returning.
Wyvern.
Wyverns don't have multiple heads, do they? But there's those devils that do.
Hydra have multiple heads, but they don't have wings.
Can I make a knowledge check
Yeah.
of some sort?
Yeah, just give me a straight intelligence check.
A straight intelligence check.
I'll give
Really?
that a go. Really good at intelligence.
Really?
Oh, rubbish at intelligence. Okay, here we go.
Oh, a lesson I was
Questions.
almost paying attention in.
Yes, you were paying attention. You think there may be chimera.
Yeah.
You've heard of such a creature. It's got the body of a goat. It's got the head of a lion and something and a something else.
Ah.
You're too far away to be certain.
Well, what do you think, guys? Should we cross the river? We can go invisible.
Might be a time to go invisible now. I mean,
Only
I think
lasts an hour.
if we want to cross the river, that's what the failures want to do, and surely we should do that.
Yeah.
I mean, are the failures just basically being used to direct us to where we need to go?
Yeah.
Or into the trap. In the absence of knowing anywhere else to go, or unless we want to go and do a full search of the place.
Yeah. What do you think? Should we do
I
invisibility?
think if it only lasts an hour, we're kind of using it to pop one square, aren't we?
Is it 1 square per hour?
I thought they were half a mile or something.
I thought we could do like 2 miles an hour or something.
Downhill, but presumably, I mean, is it still going downhill at this point where the river is?
Oh,
That can't
two-
be the
Well, if
Yeah,
we
case.
do that,
probably-
maybe we can fly.
Invisibility would, I guess, allow us to fly and make some progress.
Except it's concentration.
Hmm.
So you could fly, but I couldn't.
I mean, I think we have to cross the river.
If Paul was here, we'll probably recall this because he'd concentrate on it a little bit more. Your recollection of Monster P. McWheat's story was that they did follow a river to the north. They emerged into an area in the canyon that was occupied by a deep, cold lake. They then followed a river that was heading into that lake. So you think maybe this also chimes with what you learned. It's like backwards.
But are we trying to retrace his journey?
No, not necessarily. You're drawn in more than one direction. You've got Monster P's story, which you think, if you follow his narrative backwards, would lead you to the point at which the canyon that leads from the Lands That Wait joins up with the Wormcrawl Fissure. You don't know how useful that might be as a place to go. Maybe not. Then you've got the sense that somewhere here is a way to find Dragotha, that he lurks somewhere here, but you're not sure where. And then you've got the Failures, who have got this odd compulsion to stay in the northern part of the Wormcrawl Fissure and head to the northernmost spur.
And just in terms of the group that didn't succeed, because they seem to be upset by being called the Failures.
Yeah.
Is their desire to do that because they want to avoid something else?
No, we want to get somewhere.
They feel there's something that they need to do. They can't frame in their mind exactly what it is. It's like an unanswered question or a debt that needs to be paid. But that's about as well as they can articulate the strange sensation. And they also know where they need to head to in order to fulfill this obligation, but they can't tell you why. Again, Close Encounters is the best.
Presumably then we're going to have to go there for them to stop having that feeling, or they're permanently going to want to do that.
Yeah.
And when we suggest, say, going south, does that cause a reaction?
If I was to take the part of Scaly, Scaly doesn't feel like doing that, really. I mean, he understands that maybe we could go south for a bit and have a bit of an explore, but he'd quite like to head west at some point because he just feels this strange requirement to do so. It's like a piece of grit in his eye. He's prepared to head south.
Did he get rid of that evil staff?
He did. He gave it to Marcus.
So he's not scaly anymore, if you know what I mean.
Probably not. Unless he's been fully infected.
Well, that's the thing. Maybe the curse totally turns you to the
dark
become
side.
a servant of Kios, and then makes you want to pass on the staff to the next victim.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
How are we going to cross the river then? That's leading into the lake.
Well,
We could fly across the river. Just shuttle across.
How wide is the river?
Couple of 100 feet.
Good dimension door across.
Quite fast flowing, though. Your experience has been that the water, although it looks not very nice, basically like blood,
Yeah, it's fine.
there's nothing actually to it.
Well,
Yeah.
I think we want to head south away from the spire, so try and remain unmolested. I vote we head south and then cross the river once we're out of sight
Yeah,
of
I'm
that spire.
up for that.
Okay. On the other side
I
of
thought we didn't want to do that though. Want to go west?
Okay. There we are.
Okay, so south it
Bucky
is.
could go west. The rest of us could go south, and we could watch what's happening.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do that. We'll do that, Mike. We head south. Buggy swims across the river. and
Naked,
we
without
watch.
any of his gear.
We watch from a distance what happens. Yeah.
I don't know how strong this geese is.
I think the idea of going south a bit and then west makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You follow the river south on the eastern bank, and then you reach a point at which the river flows into an area that is gated by a couple of spurs of rock and cliff, a kind of spur canyon. And you can see, with your amazing vision, Buggy, it seems in the distance to your southwest to run into another lake. I'm just going to move your readers. We're using a single mini to represent the whole gang.
Gang.
Oh, whatever.
We're trained professionals. Gang.
Okay, squad, team,
Yeah. Elite.
Adventure Team Alpha.
An adventure team failure.
Now you've got a choice. You can either
Told you we should have gone west.
skirt your way to the north of this cliff and round into the main area of the canyon again, keeping a distance from the spire. Let's call it the Chimera Spire. Or you think you might be able to head south, and then maybe there might be a passage through that would head to the west, which would keep you shielded from the spire. Which would you prefer?
The western push on further south.
So you're going to follow the river further and see if you can find a channel that leads off to the west from there.
Yes.
Well, that works. What you can see of the lake is that this red river is admixing into a sort of very dark, almost black, glassy surface. That's something you glimpse before you find a channel that heads northwest, you think leading you back out to the main body of the cavern.
Well, let's cross the river at that point.
Yeah. It's fast flowing, but it's not
Or we can
uncrossable.
fly over it.
Do we not
just
want to
shuttle
maybe
across
go
it.
to the shore of the lake so see how far that we can see across that lake?
Like you're standing at one end of, I don't know, Wastwater or Coniston or something. Without being able to see an enormous amount of detail, I can show you the lake. It narrows and narrows and narrows into a canyon or gorge. This is something that exactly chimes with the description that was given you by Monster P. McWheat. You can feel the cold coming off this lake.
And there's no path around the shore
No.
of the lake. It's sheer cliff.
You might be able to scramble around either shore, the northern or the southern. It's shaped like a chili pepper,
Yeah.
with its pointy tip to the west and its bulbous head to the east, with the stalk being the Red River that feeds into it. And you could scramble around either side of it. It's doable, and of course you've got the ability to fly.
Sorry, he said he came that way, did he? Monster P. McWheat, what did he say? Remind us.
Yes, you think so. They followed a stream, he described it as, that flowed through a canyon that once carried, he thought, a much larger river. They followed it for miles through a winding, narrow canyon that then eventually opened out into a cold lake that was fed by a red river.
Right.
I mean, I have to say I'm paraphrasing. I haven't got his little story open in front of me, but that's the
The
sense
gist
of
of
it.
it.
So our feeling would be he came from the thin end of the chili, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah, precisely.
Right.
But that means that they must have scrambled across around
Yes.
along the shores.
Or found a path.
Or cross the lake on a raft or something. I don't think
Okay,
that
yeah.
detail was covered.
But what was the rest of his story? Do we need to follow him that
No.
way? And our geese isn't
No,
leading us
doesn't
that
want you
way.
to go that way.
No.
There is no sense from him in his story that he ever came across anything that could be described as the lair of
Yes.
a great Draco Lich.
Yeah.
So really this has been
Yeah.
a little bit of a reference point for
Yeah.
you to kind of reassure yourselves
Yes.
that you're travelling, but you've now effectively retraced his journey.
Right. Okay. Well, that's good enough. So we can basically now go back round to the northwest and under a certain amount of cover of this smaller hill.
Yeah, you can
Block, yeah.
keep at a distance.
we can
Yeah.
keep our distance from the large.
I mean, I haven't looked at the
Tower.
Chimera in the monster manual, but I mean, you're 19th level or 18th
Yeah.
level. This is pathetic.
So we can
Crawling
basically skim round
Sam
the
and
southern
Frodo.
edge of this southern edge of this crevasse to the northwest,
And you can emerge into the main body of the canyon
and
again.
then keep skirting round to the
Yeah, I'm going to give you a bit more detail.
west. And where do our
Failures.
yes, I was going to say, where do our those who did not save? Where is their feeling?
Well,
Where
now,
is their compass eye?
what you can see is that you've got two distinct choices. If you recall, when we started looking at this map at the beginning, I described it as there being three distinct spurs.
Now
at the
there are
western end.
clearly three.
A northern,
Yeah,
a middle, and a
yeah,
southern. Well, the southern,
Yeah.
who knows? The middle one, you think you've identified the opening to it now. As you
Yeah.
emerge into the main body of the canyon, you can see that there is an expansive area of canyon that heads off to the southwest. It is split, as you observe it, by a kind of sharp dagger of cliff rock. And then, to the northwest, you've got another opening, and that seems to open into some kind of gorge or canyon area. That is where the failures feel like their feet would carry them,
All right. Well, let's go that
were
way
they
then.
to give in to their compulsion. Dividing those distinct two areas that I've spoken about is a soaring tower of rock.
Ah.
Sharp rock walls lead up to what you think is a flat-topped mesa that just right on the edge of the base of the cloud layer, the floor level of the canyon as you've been heading this far west has dropped precipitously, and now you feel you're thousands of feet below this cloud layer. A couple of thousand feet, perhaps, maybe a little bit more, and this mesa sits just beneath that. Buggy, you can see with your eagle-like vision that there may be some kind of structure on the top of that mesa, but it is not where your compulsion is leading you.
Not the mesa itself, but the opening of the canyon to
The
the
opening
north.
to the north of that
the-
mesa seems to be where the failures want to go, yeah.
We can effectively now see down to sort of like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. The mesa is at 9 o'clock, and then 10 o'clock would be the opening to the canyon. Can I suggest
Yeah,
that maybe
something like that.
what we
Yeah.
do is we just walk maybe half a mile in the direction of 7 o'clock and then walk to the mazer so that we can see down these 2 openings at 7 and 8 o'clock.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Right. Well, if you peer into this southwestern spur, you can see that it splits into 3 distinct, sharp, jagged fissures. Not much particularly to tell you about in that area. The cavern floor, the canyon floor, does seem to level out a little as it reaches these points. It disappears off into gloom. Everything is at a sort of twilight everywhere you go. Yeah, the light filtering down, even during the heat of the day, you suspect that the light filtering down through this cloud base means that you're living in a perpetual twilight. Off into the extremities of this area that you peer into, you can make out very little, but I've sketched out the edges there and you can see the cliffs. The area to the northwest, as you peer within, is equally gloomy and forbidding. Let me tell you a little bit about it. This section does fall away. So whereas the canyon floor levels out to the southwest, to the northwest, this spur, this chasm or gorge or whatever it is, there is a distinct drop from the main cavern floor down into it. Falls away into a treacherous maze of smaller chasms and rifts. You can see the scars in the chasm floor, like further crevasses or whatever. They look like you wouldn't want to fall into them. You can feel a sort of malign nastiness. It's not a magical aura. It just feels like this is a place of unpleasantness. But that is where the failures would like to go.
Is the ground dry? It's not moist.
The woman that's standing behind you, Parker, says, "Oh, I wouldn't go down there."
Oh.
Let me show you a picture.
Who are you?
See that?
Yes. Weird witchy person.
She's a strange-looking creature.
Who are you?
Give me an intelligence check.
Yes.
Always like rolling intelligence.
7.
Oh, 14 again.
Pointless Waste.
Purple, you can roll at advantage.
Insight.
No, not insight.
Advantage.
Oh, natural
You're up
20.
against 16.
Okay, yeah. Purple, you've done pretty well, but Buggy, you've done better.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I rolled a natural 20, but I'm on -1 on my intelligence, so I don't know how that works.
Well, it's a natural 20.
Well,
so
a
it
20
doesn't
is always a
matter.
success, is that right?
I think it depends on the
So,
test.
Does anybody know?
I don't
Okay,
remember.
that's not enough, Johnny. But Purple. That's a shame. So close.
Use
So
my
close
bird
to
dice.
being able to make a meaningful contribution just for once to this whole adventure.
Use my own dice.
This creature is, you think, Buggy.
Hang on, just tell me. I'm not telling anybody
form-
else.
Oh,
No, go on. All right,
God's
go on.
sake.
Then. Go on. Then.
okay. It's some kind of celestial,
Yeah.
quite Burple adjacent, which is why Burple was rolling at advantage. Some kind of creature
Female
that's
Winduke?
touched by celestial influence. Not necessarily a benign celestial influence. She seems a bit sharp and scratchy. Another thing she seems a bit like, but really only passingly, is, do you remember the idol in the bedroom of the tiny demon creature? The one with the sharp features and the icicle hair.
Right.
An effigy of a deity called Ban Risi.
Yeah.
Yeah, vaguely.
Vaguely, yeah.
It's literally like
Vaguely, yeah.
last week, but whatever.
Yeah,
A couple
Yeah.
of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, she kind of resembles that statue a bit. Very sharp features, a sharp extended jaw, a sharp pointed nose, little needle teeth, and slick back spiky hair.
Who are you? I say. My name's Begraft.
Oh, hold on, let me look up and see what she would do in that instance. She ends your life. No, she doesn't. She...
You can try.
My name is Zulshin.
Do I recognise that name?
What are you doing down here?
Oh, well, I live here. Well, live, work. You know, like, can you divide the two? Everything is about my art. Yeah? She kind of indicates somewhere where you feel you've just come from, by the southern of the two lakes. I've got a kind of place over. It's kind of a workspace, living space kind of studio. It's down there. Anyway, I wouldn't go up there. It's not very nice.
But so how come you're living in this place of evil?
What do you? Hey, you guys. What's got you down here? You just like traveling, or just generally
Never
hanging,
mind.
backpacking? What are you
Never
doing? Just
mind.
like taking a year off or something?
Yeah, they were taking a gap year. Yeah.
Oh yeah, right, great. Yeah, to see things. You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
It's
$1 a
like
day.
it's
Yeah, you have to
man.
experience the world, before you move
$1
on.
a day.
You just don't know. I mean, I'm guessing I'm kind of, like immeasurably older than you, but like, I don't know, like eons, right? And it's like you're young, and you just don't know, like how the walls close in on you, man.
Do they?
This is your
Which
chance to
walls?
like thrive and like breathe and do new things.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. But not down there. Like, don't go and do new things down there. It's like a really bad energy down there. It's like really uncreative.
Okay, but
It's like really closed. It's like a really closed space.
whose
With
space?
like no ideas or freedom. That's what I would say. So yeah. Anyway, so what have you seen? What have you learned? Let's have an interchange. That's what I think is so like healthy and positive. If we have a little interchange of like ideas and experiences,
Right.
like what have you seen here? What's your feeling about this area?
Well, it's evil, isn't it?
Well, it's not great. No. Yeah.
And you're at home here, are you?
My home is here. I don't know that I'm ever at home anywhere. Honestly, creatively. What's your name?
My name is Burple.
Okay, so Burple. If I can call you Burple.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm never quite at home really anywhere. I've got no like strong attachment or like putting down roots, like even creative roots in any kind of meaningful sense.
So what is it you do?
Oh well, I create. I art.
What tell us about your art. What kind of pieces?
No, let's see. I like to express myself through
Okay,
color.
that's enough.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I know. I've done it again. I'm really sorry.
Have you?
Yeah.
Have you?
Going on and on about my art.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. And what do you know about that particular fissure?
Well, this area here, the negative zone.
Yeah, the one you
Well,
warned
I
us
see.
to stay away from.
Well, yeah, you shouldn't mess with
Why?
it. It's dangerous. There's like a really kind of bad vibe, and there's like some really negative kind of people who are like down on creativity and like down on being alive in
Yeah,
a really
and
big
who are
way.
those?
Oh,
people?
really? Like dead people?
Well, some of them are they're kind of like dead, but not. Right?
Yeah.
And they're like people who aren't dead. They're like, well, I want you to also not be dead with me.
Undead?
Do you know what I mean?
My
No
God,
chance?
it's just drivel.
Is that the word you're looking for?
Speak normally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know Monster
immeasurably
P.
old,
McWheat?
but you haven't got rid of all your affectations speech-wise. Do you know what I mean?
Do you
Well, yeah,
want
no,
my
no,
axe
yeah.
in your head? I say.
No, well, I'm getting a really bad energy all of a sudden. Hey, no, wait a moment. Hold up. Reset. Okay? This is getting bad. This is getting
Head.
negative.
I'd start taking my axe out.
Who said that, by the way? She
Down
looks
here.
around. Who said that?
Down
about
here.
the act? Oh, wow, I love animals.
You brought your trained
so
monkey
positive.
with
Yeah,
you.
it's quite cuddly, this one, isn't it? A bit smelly, though.
It doesn't matter how ugly they are or like how
You always
how
get
obnoxious.
pets that look like their owners,
Right,
don't you?
what's her armor class?
See, you're always trying to define people by scores and numbers. You've been taking exams, right, recently, I'm guessing, guys. You've all taken exams.
Yeah.
And it's like, God, like, what's the number that defines you? Stop getting into that energy. Yeah? You don't have an armor class. Air quotes. In that sense. Yeah? Okay?
Well, how?
And asking the question is like gives me negative thoughts.
Yeah. So how easy are you to hit then, Bucky? Do you want to try?
Well, I don't think that's a great
Yeah,
idea.
I'll give it a go. We'll see how your armor class is.
It's
Well,
just
I mean,
mean-
what would you like to do?
Well, like, I don't want to be negative about anybody in particular.
Yeah.
Like, apart from you, she points at Buggy. Whatever this is, that's like slightly negative. There is somebody who's been like really bothering me recently and bringing me down and like really like de-arting my life. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And like restricting my ability to express myself.
Oh, that's
And
such
it's
a
this
downer.
guy, and it's really awkward. He's really kind of into me, right?
Right.
And I'm just like 100% like, not interested. Like, no way. Like, you're not my thing, right? Like, I mean, everybody's got their own, like, whatever floats your boat. Well, not a boat round here because it's
To the point.
like, really dangerous to be on a boat round here.
We're
because
losing
the
interest.
lakes are really dangerous. Yeah. But he's really harshing on me, and it's like really starting to get me into a place where I just don't feel comfortable.
Right.
Don't encourage her.
Oh, she looks up at Sessions. What's happened to his legs?
It's the Mekon.
It's like you've got a floaty stick with like a head on top of it. I think that's really cool. Is that
Skinny
art?
legs
Is that like a
and a
saying?
big head.
I can see what that's saying actually. It's saying like you don't need legs, and also it's saying like I've got my space and I'm floating,
Yeah.
and also
Exactly
I'm
right.
like expressing myself. And what it's doing is it's like playing with our ideas of space
Right,
and
I'm going to
art
have to
ideas. and I
attack her
get to
because
keep-
she's too annoying.
Interesting way.
Totes floaty.
What's her armor class?
So, what can you tell us about the people in?
Oh, well,
the
people,
cap-
it's all about people.
Well, the dead people.
Be really careful with your questions. Well, the people this way.
Yeah.
There's a kind of guy down there.
Right.
Well, I say guy.
Yeah.
He's more of a kind of an enormous, like massively tendrilled, like worm creature.
Oh, I
Right.
see. Right. Okay. Yeah.
I call him Navesh.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do other people call him?
Well, there aren't any other people.
Oh.
This is it. And then there's Thessalar, who's the guy who was kind of talking about earlier. You've kind of distracted me from, right? I don't want to kind of name him, air quotes,
Right.
and that kind of defines him. But Thessalar, yeah.
And who's Thessalar?
Well, he's kind of also kind of dead,
Right.
but not. And he's like a scientist, and he's well into me,
Right.
like in a massive way. And it's just really annoys me about
So
the way
why
that
don't why don't you move somewhere else, somewhere where you're not?
I've kind of trapped. That's a really long story.
Mm,
I don't know if I can get into it now.
right.
We've got time.
No, we haven't.
Have you though?
We haven't. We're moving on now. Goodbye.
Bye, Buggy. Anyway, tell us about this long story that you were going to tell us about.
Well, I mean, I was kind of
No.
banished here by higher powers.
Do a silent spell.
I don't know what I did to annoy them,
Right.
Can't imagine.
but the gods decided that I kind of couldn't be with them anymore, and I had to kind of
Right.
kind of be here.
Okay.
Yeah. At the time, it was what a thing to go through, like a really bad experience. I'm not embarrassed to say I had a few dark times.
But you feel you've grown from it, right?
I have grown. It's been a real learning moment. And I've sunsetted loads of those negative ideas in my mind, and I've ideated a future for myself where, solo, I can create art and, really self-fulfill.
Yeah.
And it's just so massively positive.
Okay. And what materials do you like working with?
What I really like to do, I don't think you're going to understand this, but it's do you know about planets?
Yeah.
I like to express
Oh,
the
no.
concept of planets and the orbits of planets around themselves in mechanical things that I create.
Oh, do you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we're missing a piece of
Did you make this?
orrery.
You take the orrery out.
Yeah,
Why not?
we're missing a piece.
Yeah.
Can you
Show her the orrery.
make
You mean
the
something
other
like
piece?
this.
Did you make this?
She double takes. She looks at it. I made that. Totally did make that. That's mine.
Yeah.
It's broken though.
Yeah. It's broken. Yeah.
Can you fix it?
Where'd you get this though?
Never you mind.
No, that's 100% mine. That's my creation. Wow. Where'd you get this? Wow, it's been damaged.
We found it.
Yeah, we found
We
it
bought it like this.
a long
we
time.
bought it
Oh
like
no, it
this.
was actually a few weeks ago.
3 weeks ago. Rather difficult to explain exactly where you got it as well. It's well, first of all, we can't remember.
It
No,
was somewhere.
we found it in
weird.
You found it
In
in
a
a
temple.
border timber.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, we can say that to her. She's a god. She can
Yeah.
probably recognise that.
Well, I'm not like a god really. I'm more of a kind of godlet.
Yeah.
I'd
I
say.
understand, yeah.
I'm god adjacent.
Yeah.
I can totally fix that. I mean, that's one of mine. I made that. Yeah.
Well, can you fix it then,
I
please?
never thought I'd see that again. I think I gave that to was it the Grey Woodsman? Maybe I gave it to.
Yeah, that would
Wow,
fit.
wow. She puts a forefinger on each temple. Oh, hold up. Wow. Yeah, I did. 100%. I feel really uncomfortable talking about transactional moments between people.
Well,
Yeah.
as an artist, you
And,
know,
I-
you have to make your way in the world. You can't just,
Well, I
you know,
do, and
just-
it's there's a couple of coffee shops locally that show my stuff, and I never really kind of get
Yeah.
anything from that, right?
Right.
If we could have a transactional thought, a kind of can we make ourselves open to an area of kind of give and exchange, and then maybe
Yeah.
if I was to I could maybe
You
I could
fix
maybe
it.
fix that for you, and we could see what it did, and maybe you could
Give you a piece of cheese.
kill and destroy Thessalar for me. Go to where he is up there, and she points up to the top of the mesa. I mean, if you could
okay.
maybe go there and totally destroy him and remove him forever, because he's kind of like a lich. Do you know what I mean? Kind of. And if you could kind of destroy him forever, maybe I could fix this for you. And I've got other things maybe I could help you with. We could also just hang together.
Well,
Once that was done, because that would be out the back of my mind, and I could relax and be more creative, and we could all hang and exchange ideas.
yeah. Would the name Dragotha ring a bell?
Dragotha?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, that's that way. She points the way you just didn't go, the southwestern way.
Right.
And she says, oh, don't go down there.
Well, I'm afraid that's where we're headed.
that way is extinction for all of you.
Yeah. Unfortunately, if we don't go that way, it's certain extinction for everybody.
Well, I'm thinking,
But
we're different,
Mhm.
right?
But-
You're like normal, and I'm like not. So like the whole extinction for everybody, maybe not me. I'm thinking more like
Yeah, but it's not all
Might
about
have
you, though, is it? I think that's one of the things that
Me.
art
That's all we hear from.
potentially does, is it makes you very insular and very inward focused.
But this is the thing. I used to always be like an outward person, always thinking about other people. But it's like I've just taken a moment to center, like really center.
No, that's fine. But now I think you need to strike the right balance. And I think at this time you should be thinking.
Wow, that's just like such a wise thought.
Yeah,
I sense something very similar to you in me. It was Burple. Was it? Can I call you Burple?
you can call me Burple.
I'm really getting a really strong connection.
Oh,
I'd really like to
no.
paint you. I think that would be really exciting. Or like enshrine you in one of my... I do stained glass. Did I say? Did I mention? It's something that I do. It really kind of empowers me. And also the thing about stained glass is, right, there's my creativity in it, but there's also like the light. The light is for the light from the universe, right? So the light from the universe shines through something that I made and like conjures ideas in people's minds. And that I find like a really nurturing experience.
Yeah,
we
we
have
might
a
come- we might come
sweepstakes
back
on
to
how
that.
long it takes her to mention the word quantum.
On a quantum level.
That's like a word like Thessalar would use, because
Okay.
that's like quite a sciencey word, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Why?
Like more sciencey.
why
and
should...
like more art, and like he's like science. That's what I would say, and I just think it would be great if he was just ended, massively ended forever.
And can you help us do that?
So this transactional thing you were talking about, you mentioned
Yeah.
the orrery and stuff. So what are we talking about in the and stuff?
Well, my art's really exciting, and I'm getting a feeling from you guys. She kind of somehow indicates Buggy, Scaly, and Burple. You've got a certain energy about you, and maybe I just get a feel that I'm like maybe able to help you with something that's kind of an unanswered question that's like really inside yourselves, something that you're like searching for, but you can't quite kind of crystallize. And I can maybe help you with that also.
Right, but that's
Yeah.
not cards on the table. We have to go and deal with Dragotha, and dealing with Thessalar is going to use up some of our chi, right? And so, I don't want to dilute my my energy.
I can't believe you just said that. That's just like such a mad connection.
But hold on, those that failed were wanting to go in the direction, not going in the direction of Dragotha, right?
I
'Cause
like
she
to
just
think of it as like succeeding in another way. I don't want to like pick you up,
Yeah.
right? What's your name? Sorry.
What? Are you talking to me?
What's your name? Sorry. Yeah. What's your name? Sorry.
Parker.
Parker. Sorry, Parker. If I can call you Parker. Failure is like such a negative word,
Yeah.
and it can lead people into like pathways where they're just not self-actuating. So I think what we want is an area where we conceive ourselves into like always positive spaces, whether we're turning right, whether we're turning left. Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's what I'm thinking. Anyway,
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. What was that?
Yeah, we
Please.
sort of-
so guys, right, gotta go. She vanishes.
So she said Dragotha was southwest. So I'm assuming 7 o'clock on the previous thing.
No, she said it was the way we were going, the way we were headed. Which,
she didn't.
didn't she?
We mentioned Dragotha, and she said southwest.
Yeah, Dragotha's to the southwest. It's not the way
Yeah.
we're going.
So the
I
southwest.
think we've been
that's right.
geezed to go the wrong way
Yeah.
into some dangerous undead rift valley to get killed.
Really? Or there's possibly something
Yeah.
there that
well,
we might
seem
need.
to have 3 things that we could do.
You got this compulsion after seeing the vision of Rabadabadas.
Yeah.
And Marcus's view was that Rabadabadas had learnt from whichever malign influence had picked up the skill of intercepting teleportation journeys to use it maybe himself in order to communicate with
So
you.
it's good. It's a good thing then.
So it's possible.
Maybe this is where the treasure hoard is. That it's got treasure that's going to help us fight Dragotha.
Or possibly she might. We can either go down this creviced cavern to the northwest, or we can go up to the mesa and fight the baddie. And the third thing is to just press on and go and find Dragotha.
I think we want to follow the geese.
Yeah, northwest. Well, I want to go there anyway because
Northwest?
I'm geezed to go northwest.
Okay, Mike, we are heading northwest
Into the gorge of crevasses.
into the gorge of death.
Into the gorge of death. You work your way, pick your way through this gorge. It's a couple of miles of skirting.
Sorry, can I just ask a question? Did we get the weird witchy person's name? Did I miss that?
Zulshin, she called herself.
Okay.
Do we recognise that name?
No.
So we could use commune to find out whether Zulshin is an ally.
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Do you want to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the question?
Yeah, let's cast it as a ritual spell, Mike. Take 10 minutes to do it. Commune.
Yep.
So, question number 1.
Yeah.
Is Zulshin an ally in our wider quest to whatever it is we're trying to do? Defeat Dragosa. Is that what we're trying to do, guys?
Can't we just ask if she's an ally?
Is
ally.
she an ally? That's a good question.
Is she or could she be an ally?
Is she or could she be an ally?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and what was the name of the lich?
Thessalar.
Okay.
Oh, it's another lich then. We've got
another
2 liches.
Sort of lich type.
You
Demi-lich.
never get just the one lich.
So,
Yeah, it's like buses.
What about, is there something beneficial in that northwest fissure?
yeah, that could work.
Is there anything to be gained? Yes.
This is where the treasure is.
Is there anything to be gained by taking on Thessalar before we take on Dragotha?
I'm waiting for...
It's the old trick, isn't it?
Magic words.
You answer
Okay, so
Dan,
I'll ask
but
the
it's not a
question.
real question.
And
Okay,
Graham?
should we engage and defeat Thessalar before proceeding into the northwestern?
No, so take... okay.
Southwestern.
Northwestern.
No, northwest.
Dragotha's definitely going to be the last thing we need to do.
Yeah, but
He's in the southwest, isn't he?
We know there's something
Do
good
we-
there. Maybe we should do the lich first. That's the question. Should we defeat Thessalar before heading into the northwestern gorge?
Unclear is the answer, anyway.
Okay.
So what now?
We'll continue with the plan, go northwest.
Pick your way between these crevasses, skitter a pebble over the edge, and they rattle their way echoing down, down, and down for ages. This little spur of canyon narrows and narrows and narrows, but as it tapers to a point, you find yourself at the entrance to a cave. Let me move you to a new map. You cautiously pick your way forwards, peering into this entrance of a cave before you. As you stand there and observe it, you start to feel an unsettling vibration and movement beneath your feet. Feels like something is approaching you underground and is about to break the surface. What is this thing? What lies within the cavern beyond?
it's a boulette. Another one.
Can
Purple
you
worm.
answer the call of this strange compulsion? Well, we're not going to find out now. We're going to find out what lies within the cavern of mystery when we pick things up next
week.
I'm going to dust off the earplugs.
The Billowing Hilltop podcast is a Billowing Hilltop production. Dungeons & Dragons is a trademark of Wizards of the Coast. Into the Wormcrawl Fissure and Age of Worms are copyright Wizards of the Coast. Into the Wormcrawl Fissure was written by James Jacobs. Music is from Kevin MacLeod and Incompetech.com and is used with thanks under the Creative Commons license. Additional music and sound effects come from the wonderful Sirenscape. All other original material is copyright Billowing Hilltop. Role-playing games are all about getting people together, and we use Roll20 as our tabletop, the perfect place to host your game, and Discord to host our chat. Thanks for listening!